Samurai didn't just fight wars. They fought each other, one-on-one, blade to blade, with their entire reputation, their family's honor, and often their life on the line. These are duels that actually happened. Number 1. Tsukahara Bokuden and the Ferryman. By the time Tsukahara Bokuden boards a ferry across Lake Biwa on a hot afternoon in the early 1500s, he has killed 212 men in formal duels and fought in 19 battlefield engagements. He carries one scar, an arrow wound from when he was young. No swordsman has ever managed to cut him. He is in his late 50s now, mellowed. He has developed a philosophy he calls the style of no sword, the idea that the highest form of swordsmanship is to win without drawing your blade at all. Coming from a yoga teacher, this sounds like nonsense. Coming from a man who has personally killed 212 people with a sword, it lands differently. The ferry is small, 6 or 7 passengers crowded together on the wooden planks. The lake is glassy. Bokuden sits quietly in the corner with his swords across his lap. A young ronin on the same boat is talking loudly. He has been talking for some time. He is telling anyone who will listen about the men he has cut down, the schools he has humiliated, the techniques he has mastered. The other passengers stare at the floor. They've heard this for an hour. They will hear it for another hour if no one stops it. The ronin eventually notices Bokuden. He can read quality. The swords on the old man's lap are not cheap. His stillness is not nervousness. The ronin sees an opportunity, a chance to add a famous scalp to his collection, and demands a duel right there on the ferry. Bokuden looks up calmly. He says his style of swordsmanship involves defeating the enemy without killing him. The ronin laughs. What kind of coward style is that? Bokuden agrees to demonstrate. But not here. The boat is too small. Innocent people could be hurt. He gestures toward a little island 100 meters off the bow and suggests they fight there instead. The ronin nods, eager. He understands islands. Islands are where honorable combat happens. The ferryman rows them in. The moment the bow scrapes sand, the ronin leaps out, draws his sword, and takes his stance, legs braced, blade ready, every muscle vibrating with anticipation. Bokuden stands up slowly. He picks up the ferryman's pole, and he pushes the boat back into the lake. The ronin watches the boat drift away with his mouth open. The passengers, who have suffered through hours of his boasting, begin to laugh. They laugh until they cry. The ronin screams. He waves his sword. He runs to the water's edge. He cannot swim in armor. He is going to be on that island for a very long time. Bokuden calls back across the widening water. This is the style of no sword. You have been defeated without me drawing my blade. He dies peacefully at 83. In his final years, he told his students that his proudest achievement was not the 212 men he killed. It was the fights he walked away from. Number 2. Araki Maitaman at Igagoe. It's 1634. A samurai named Watanabe Kazuma has a problem. His brother has been murdered, and the man who killed him, Kawai Matagoro, is being protected by a band of 36 retainers led by a master swordsman. Kazuma is a decent fighter. He is not a 36-man fighter. He goes to his brother-in-law. Araki Matayamon is not just good. He is the head instructor of the Yagyu Shinkaguryu, one of the most prestigious sword schools in Japan. His teacher trained the shogun personally. Matayamon has spent his entire life preparing for moments exactly like this one. On the morning of November 7th, Matayamon and Kazuma corner their targets at the Igago crossroads in Iga province. They have brought 2 retainers with them. 4 men, total. 36 against 4. The sun is barely up. Mist clings to the dirt road. Matayamon does not run. He does not shout. He walks us directly toward Kawai Jinzemon, the leader of the opposing force, with his sword already drawn. The 2 master swordsmen meet in the middle of the road. Around them, the retainers explode into combat. Blades clash. Men scream. The dirt darkens with blood. Matayamon and Jinzemon begin a duel that will last more than 2 hours. Eyewitnesses recorded what they could remember. Most of them admitted later that they could not remember much. Watching the 2 men fight was like watching weather. You could see it happening but not follow it. Jinzemon was aggressive, fast, technically excellent. He pressed forward constantly. He cut high, low, and at angles designed to break Matayamon's stance. Matayamon did not break. He moved his feet a few inches at a time. He turned his blade fractions of a degree. He gave ground when ground needed to be given and took it back without anyone seeing how. He was not trying to kill Jinzemon quickly. He was waiting. Around them, men were dying. Kazuma was hacking his way toward Matagoro through a wall of retainers, taking cuts to his arms and chest, bleeding from a dozen places, refusing to stop. The two extra retainers Mataman had brought were fighting for their lives against 10-to-1 odds. For 2 hours, Mataman and Jinzaman traded cuts that landed against steel instead of flesh. Then Jinzaman, exhausted, made the mistake Mataman had been waiting for. He raised his guard a hand's width too high to defend against a feint. Mataman cut across his midsection so deeply that Jinzaman was dead before he hit the road. Kazuma found Matagoro behind the lines and killed the man who had murdered his brother. The retainers, seeing both their leaders down, scattered into the trees. When it was done, 4 men had defeated 36. The Tokugawa government, far from prosecuting them, made them celebrities. The vendetta had been properly registered. The killings were legal. Mataman was held up as the perfect example of samurai discipline. A man who fought for 2 hours against another master and never lost his composure for a single second. It became one of the 3 most famous revenge stories in Japanese history. People still tell it. Number 3. Ito Ittosai and the School of One Cut. In the mid-1500s, a teenage orphan named Ito Ittosai is sleeping in a temple with 7 bandits coming up the stairs. He has no family, no money, no prospects. He owns a stolen sword and an obsession. He is going to become the greatest swordsman who ever lived, and he is going to do it without a teacher, without a school, and without permission from anyone. For years, he has been fighting his way across Izu province. He challenges other vagrants, he fights local toughs. He duels traveling ronin who underestimate him because of his age. He wins more than he loses, but his style is raw, aggression and reflex with no refinement underneath. Then comes the temple. It's late. He is asleep on the wooden floor when the door slides open. 7 men step inside. They have come for whatever he is carrying. They have not come to leave a witness. The first one swings before Ittosai is fully awake. He rolls. The blade hits the floor where his head was. And in that instant, as he comes up with his stolen sword in his hand and 7 men closing in around him, something opens in his mind that he has never felt before. Time slows. He can see the trajectory of every blade in the room before it moves. He sees where each man's weight is. He sees which one is going to step first. He knows where the cut will come from before the cut exists. He kills all 7 of them. When the sun comes up, Ittosai is sitting in the temple alone, surrounded by bodies, and he understands something. Swordsmanship is not about learning 100 techniques. It is about perfecting one. One cut. One strike so absolute, so total, that it ends the fight before the fight has properly started. He calls his philosophy Ito Ryu, the school of one cut. For the next several years, he wanders Japan and walks into dojos uninvited. He challenges their best fighters. He wins. The duels become his legend. Most famous is the one against Mikogami Tenzen, a large and powerful swordsman known across his region for an aggressive two-handed style that nobody could counter. They meet on a wooden bridge. Tenzen charges with an overhead strike intended to split Ittosai from skull to sternum. Ittosai does not parry. He does not dodge. He steps half a pace to the left, and as Tenzen's momentum carries him past, Ittosai delivers a single horizontal cut across his chest. The duel takes 4 seconds. Ittosai goes on to formalize his one-cut philosophy into a full school of swordsmanship. The Ito-ryu eventually splits into multiple branches that become some of the most influential sword schools in Japanese history. The modern kendo strike men, the frontal head cut, is descended directly from his core teaching. Every person who has ever practiced kendo in the last 400 years is using a technique that traces back to a homeless teenager who woke up to find 7 men in a temple. Number 4. Miyamoto Musashi versus the Yoshioka. In 1604, Miyamoto Musashi is 20 years old. He has been killing men in duels since he was 12. He walks into Kyoto with one objective: destroy the Yoshioka school. The Yoshioka are not minor. They have served as the official sword instructors to the Ashikaga shoguns for generations. Their school is old, respected, and proud. Musashi is none of those things. He is a wandering ronin with no formal training, no master, no manners, and no patience for inherited honor. He challenges the headmaster Yoshioka Seijuro to a duel with wooden swords outside the city. Seijuro accepts. He picks the time. He picks the place. He brings his students to watch. Musashi shows up several hours late, on purpose. By the time he arrives, Seijuro has been pacing in front of his entire school for half a day. His face is red. He has been humiliated publicly before the fight has even started. The instant Musashi strolls into view, Seijuro charges him in blind rage. Musashi blocks the first strike and breaks Seijuro's shoulder with one return blow. Seijuro collapses. His students carry him away. The shame is so total that he eventually shaves his head, takes vows, and never holds a sword again. The Yoshioka family sends his brother Denshichiro next. Same location, same wooden swords. Musashi shows up late again. Denshichiro is ready for it this time. Or he thinks he is. He has braced himself for the disrespect. He has visualized staying calm. None of it helps. Musashi hits him in the head with a single strike. Denshichiro doesn't survive. 2 Yoshioka brothers. 2 defeats. 1 dead. The school is finished unless they can produce a victory. They have one option left. Their new headmaster is Yoshioka Matashichiro. He is 12 years old. They send Musashi a challenge. A final duel with their child headmaster at a pine grove outside the city. Musashi accepts. This time he does not show up late. He shows up early. He hides in the trees and watches the Yoshioka school arrive. They have not brought a 12-year-old boy for a fair duel. They have brought the boy as bait. Around him, taking positions in the pine grove, are dozens of armed students with swords, spears, and bows. The plan is obvious. Musashi will walk into the clearing, the archers will fire, the boy will be a decoration on a corpse. Musashi watches them set up. He notes where each archer is standing. He maps the terrain. He waits until everyone is in position, focused on the road, expecting a man to come walking up it. Then he comes out of the trees at a sprint from a direction nobody is watching. He reaches Matashichiro before anyone can react. One cut. The boy is dead. The headmaster of the Yoshioka school, age 12, is on the ground before his retainers have figured out what is happening. Then the rest of them charge. Arrows fly, spears thrust from every direction. Musashi is already in motion. He cuts his way out, leaving bodies behind him, and disappears into the dark. In a single night, the most prestigious sword school in Kyoto, the one that trained shoguns, has been functionally destroyed. Musashi fought 61 duels across his life. He never lost one. He died peacefully at 61 in a cave, writing a book about swordsmanship called the Book of 5 Rings. It is still in print. It is still required reading at several military academies. A 12-year-old's killer wrote a book that is taught at West Point. Number 5. Kamizumi Nobutsuna and the Art of Not Killing. In the mid-1500s, Kamizumi Nobutsuna is considered the greatest living swordsman in Japan. He is not a wandering ronin. He is a castle lord. He commands troops. He has killed men in war and killed men in duels for decades. His technique is so refined that contemporaries describe watching him as a kind of optical illusion. You cannot quite see the blade move before it has already arrived. But Nobutsuna has a problem with the way dueling works. When 2 men face each other with live steel, somebody usually dies. Often it is the lesser swordsman, but the winner walks away with cuts too, and sometimes those cuts kill him a week later. Nobutsuna has watched too many talented young fighters die in duels that did not need to happen. Worse, he has watched the threat of death make training timid. Students will not commit to a full strike against a partner who could die from it. Teachers will not test students in any way that matters. The whole system is held back by its own lethality. So Nobutsuna invents something. A practice sword made of bamboo strips wrapped in leather. He calls it the Fukuro Shinai. It looks nothing like a real blade, but it moves like one and it can be swung at full force without killing anyone. This sounds like a minor invention. It is one of the most consequential things any single person has ever done to martial arts. For the first time in Japanese history, swordsmen can fight at full intensity without dying. Training becomes real. Sparring becomes possible. Generations of fighters who would otherwise have been killed in dojos live to teach others. Nobutsuna decides to demonstrate. He travels to the domain of Takeda Shingen, one of the most feared warlords of the Sengoku period. Shingen's territory is full of elite warriors. Shingen himself thinks the whole bamboo stick idea is ridiculous. He orders one of his best men, a massive samurai named Onikage, to duel Nobutsuna using a real wooden sword while Nobutsuna uses only his shinai. It is supposed to be embarrassing. A demonstration of why bamboo cannot beat wood. Onikage charges with an overhead strike. Nobutsuna deflects, steps inside his guard, and taps him cleanly across the chest with the shinai. If it had been a real sword, the cut would have killed him. They reset. Onikage attacks again. Same result. Nobutsuna reads him before he moves and strikes first. They reset. Third round, third clean hit. Onikage has not laid a finger on Nobutsuna across 3 exchanges. Shingen stares at the old man with the bamboo stick. Then he asks Nobutsuna to stay and teach. Nobutsuna stays long enough to pass the style to several of Shingen's top warriors, then continues his journey. He spends the rest of his life traveling and teaching the Shinkage-ryu to anyone worthy. His most famous student, Yagyu Munenori, becomes the personal sword instructor to 3 successive Tokugawa shoguns. The bamboo practice sword he invented evolved into the shinai still used in kendo today by millions of practitioners around the world. The greatest swordsman in Japan looked at a world full of violence and chose to invent a way for warriors to fight without dying. He did not cut a man in half on a bridge. He did not destroy a school. He just made the killing optional. It changed Japanese martial arts more than any single duel ever.